Hello everyone, hope you're having a fantastic Monday so far, and welcome back to the Waiver Wire show, your weekly information on one undrafted Pokemon and their potential usage in a draft league format. I'm your host Strompfel, and I'm back, fully refreshed from my short holiday. Yes, it's actually true, us analysts are allowed vacation once in a while. I can still remember the last vacation I had. It was the great summer of '87 when... Oh, excuse me. Hello? Okay, I will stop talking bullshit. Alright, so the results from last week is in, and I'm quite excited to cover this Pokemon, to be honest. So, it's time to start everyone's week off by talking about a personal favorite of mine, Flygon. Flygon has all around good stats. Its HP, special attack and defenses are base 80, and its attack and speed is base 100. As you can see, there isn't really any stat that's too low or not workable with Flygon, which is amazing when it comes to team building against your opponent. And my prayers has finally been answered. We are covering something that's faster than a fucking snail. Praise our Lord and Savior Gumi. Flygon is a ground and dragon dual type, which is a solid offensive typing. Both ground and dragon are good offensive typing on their own, and when you combine these two together, you got a deadly combination. There are a very limited pool of Pokemon that resist both, and if you don't have one on your team, a neutral dragon or ground stab will hurt. Defensively, dragon and ground is good but not amazing. It doesn't have that many weaknesses, but not that many resistances either. It does however give Flygon an immunity to electric, and couple this with Flygon's ability to levitate, Flygon can actually soar all over the ground and be immune to ground types as well. But even though Flygon has 2 immunities, it has an evil 4 times weakness to ice, which we will go into detail with later. Now, personally, I think it should be illegal not to draft Flygon. Of course, this is a total biased opinion, since I love Flygon's design. But here are some more legit facts on why it maybe should be picked up. Now, to kick things off, Flygon is very versatile, since it has the ability to attack from both its physical and its special side. Its move pool also backs this up, since it has a wide move pool with plenty of options on both sides. Flygon also has the ability to be more defensive with base 80 HP and defenses with access to Roost, which is a reliable way to get back HP. I specifically emphasize the word reliable there, because there has been some misunderstandings in the past whether a Pokemon has a reliable way to get back HP or just a way to get back HP. Flygon also has a good speed stat, which takes us to the next subject. Base 100 is a good speed tier since it's very workable when it comes to speed creeping slower mons, and very flexible since it can utilize the item Choice Scarf very well. Flygon also has access to the move Defog, and couple this with Flygon's decent bulk and access to Roost, we have ourselves a hazard support for the team. What makes Flygon stand out against most defoggers in the game is that Flygon doesn't take that much damage upon entry with hazards up. Flying types, which usually gets defog, takes up to 25% upon entry when stealth rocks are up. Flygon, which is a ground type, only takes 6%, and with levitate lets it ignore spikes and toxic spikes upon switching. This makes Flygon a good hazard control. Now, the last thing that I want to mention is that Flygon is very good at grabbing momentum to your favor. Flygon gains you momentum with access to U-turn and prevents your opponent from getting it back by blocking their volt switches. But if Flygon is so good as I claim it to be, it would have been drafted. But something is obviously holding it back. To start off with, Flygon has that big 4 times weakness to ice, which I can relate to since it's cold as all hell here and I'm freezing my balls off. But back to Pokemon. Since ice is a common option for coverage on many Pokemon, mainly Ice Beam, Flygon has a tough time shining when so many Pokemon is bullying it with ice. Not only is ice a common coverage option, but ice also has a priority attack in Ice Shard. And since Flygon lacks priority, it usually goes straight down to anything with Ice Shard. Now, Flygon does have a decent attack stat, but it actually doesn't hit that hard. It fails to pick up Okos on many Pokemon and struggles against physical walls, which it can't break without going mixed and hit specially. It really needs a breaker to function, which leads us to our next con. Dragon types are overall really strong. You got yourself your Garchomp, your Hydreigon, your Goomy, etc, etc. Dragons are therefore good at wall breaking for other members to clean up, which gives us a problem where we want to use Flygon. Flygon needs a wall breaker to function, but then you need a dragon to wall break for it. This is one of the bigger reasons why people tend to lean away from Flygon. It can come off as weak and not the best dragon option for the team. Of course, not every wall breaker is a dragon. I can literally hear people typing names of wall breakers that are on dragons in the comments. I know that. Don't you worry. But Flygon is still a good Pokemon nonetheless, and I'm going to prove that to you by booting up Pokemon Showdown and make some Flygon sets. I'll meet you all there in a second. Okay, so the first sample set with Flygon is a fast, physically offensive Flygon with a Choice Scarf. The Choice Scarf helps Flygon outspeed pretty much everything except faster Scarfers and hit them with powerful stab Earthquakes. It doesn't matter how long you've played Pokemon, you know that Earthquake hits hella hard. The other moves on this set is Outrage, which is a very powerful Dragon Stab move for late game sweeps, and U-turn to gain momentum of your opponent. I highly recommend these three moves in particular, but the last move is really up to you. I put Stone Edge in the mix for flying types, but other options are Fire or Thunder Punch to hit basically specific mons. The Scarf Flygon should be played as a revenge killer or a late game sweeper. Basically you just utilize its speed as good as you can. To emphasize this, I put max speed with a Jollinator just to be as fast as possible. I decided to maximize attack to hit as hard as possible as well, and the remaining EV is just putting HP for overall bulk. Okay, so the next sample set is a bulky Dragon Dance set, which takes advantage of Flygon's new move Dragon Dance in Generation 7. It's good that they at least buff Flygon in some way, since it still doesn't have a Mega. The moves for this set is of course Dragon Dance, then I put Dragon Claw and Earthquake for stab, and Fire Punch to maybe power through a Skarmory. The item is a Yache Berry, which allows Flygon to take reduced damage from one ice type attack. But this is good, since Flygon usually only needs to take one attack to get the Dragon Dance up and then start going to town on your opponent. Yache Berry also functions as a backup against opposing Ice Shard, since that hasn't the 100% kill chance no more. Alright, so the speed EVs on this Flygon is to outspeed a max speed base 130 Pokemon with a speed boosting nature such as a Jolteon or a Tapu Koko after you set up one Dragon Dance. I maximized this Flygon's attack stat since I wanted to be some sort of sweeper, and I put the remaining AVs in HP. You can also substitute Fire Punch out for Roost, another option just to get more Dragon Dances up, make it a little bit more bulky, and just keep sending a Dragon Dance as a roost off the damage. But if you're looking for something more bulky that takes hits better, this set is for you. This is the Special Defensive Defog set, or mainly the Defog set overall. This set is built around Flygon staying as long as possible on the field, and possibly get multiple defogs out during the game. The moves are Defog of course, Roost to gain back health, and then I put Dracometer and Fire Blast as the last two moves. This is to show you that Special Flygon is viable in draft leagues and works especially well on bulkier sets. Of course you can also run like a Special Scarfed Flygon or a Dragon Dance Flygon with special moves. Actually, don't do that, that's actually garbage. Why did I say that? The item is a leftovers to regain health every turn, and the EVs are mainly put into HP and special defense with a little bit of speed. This speed is to outrun a max speed base 80, I think. Yeah, that sounds about right. The rest were put into HP and special defense with a calm nature to maximize the overall special defensive bulk. You don't really need that much special attack investment, since hitting hard is not the main purpose with this set. And we have arrived to this week's build set, and since I was sick and tired of having slow mons, I tried to create the fastest Flygon possible. This set is a Tailwind set, but it's actually not designed to make Flygon sweep under its own Tailwind, but to make something else fast as hell. So the main objective with this Flygon set is to be sent out late game, throw out as many hits as possible, and just before you die, set up Tailwind for a teammate to clean up the game. The moves are Earthquake and Fire Blast for just offensive pressure, Tailwind of course, and then we have Endure. Why, you may ask? Well, if you take a sneak peek at the item, you will see a weird berry, a Custa berry. What Custard Berry allows you to do is when your HP is low, Custard Berry will activate and give your next move priority. So basically if you fear your opponent's next attack that will knock you out and you're not in range of your Custard Berry, you can use Endure, which ensures you a survival on 1 HP. This will ensure that you use your Custard Berry to set up a priority Tailwind. You'll probably get killed with the next attack, but then you get to send in your Fast Sweeper that will just kill everything and clean up the game under the Tailwind. Now, before we move on, I have to mention that Custard Berry is illegal right now since it hasn't been released in Sun and Moon yet. But it will be brought to us at some point, and so will this Flygon set. The speed is to outrun base 85 mons with a positive nature, maximize attack with a bit of special attack. I do have a naive nature since I don't want to lower Fire Blast damage output, so beware of that when you're taking special hits. Now, build sets are of course not meant to be brought every battle, but once or twice might do some magic. Don't try these at home, especially if you're underage. And that's going to do it for this edition of the Waiver Wire show. Now, if you want to be a part of the decision of next week's featured Pokemon, there's a link in the description that will guide you to a Strawpoll where you can vote. The options for next week are Electivire, Yanmega, Musharna, Ampharos, Komala, Sharpedo and Machamp. If you know any Pokemon that wasn't drafted and want to see it featured on the show, leave them in the comments down below so I can put them on next week's poll. Now I think it's time for me to go outside and shovel some snow, my favorite hobby. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. I've been your host Strompfel and I'll see all of you at the same time next week. Goodbye.